Good evening and welcome to City Council meeting of October 25th. We appreciate your attendance. And we'll call it to order. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll call, please?
Mr. Cannell, Mr. Shyland,
Present.
Ms. Gray,
Here.
Mr. Moore,
Present.
Ms. Reclue,
Present.
Mr. Shiverdecker,
Here.
Mr. Vaughn,
Present.
and Mr. West. 6 council members present, 2 absent.
Okay, if you drive with me, Pastor Bruce Williams is with us this evening and he'll lead us in the invocation. Welcome, Pastor.
Privilege, sir. Dear Lord, we're grateful for a beautiful October day during the harvest season. Thanking you so much for being with each of us in our personal lives and in the guidance of our wonderful community that's our home. We're thankful, Lord, for every blessing every day, all the kindness that you bestow us in health and prosperity. That being prayed, I want to remember Carolyn Lastwell tonight. I pray for her and her family in the passing of her wonderful husband, and we pray as a community. She served us long and well at this place. Now, Lord, help us to love her, encourage her, and I pray you offer her the comfort that she needs in times such as these. My other prayer, Lord, tonight, before we meet again as a council session, our community and the nation will go through Halloween with children. This is a special prayer because it requires all of us to be diligent in seeing that children are safe during this holiday. They have a special time. They're excited. But with that goes a responsibility, Lord, not just for our police officers and firefighters who will protect our streets and meet their needs, but Lord, for all of us to protect our children during this children's holiday. I'm grateful, Lord, for the community we live in and all that you do for us day by day. Grateful for our neighbors and for our friends. Tonight, as this session enters into business, I pray, Lord, for all the work that will be done here, the discussions that are held, the decisions that are made, if there be. And I'm grateful for the larger community who is here to give input and share in the city's work. So valuable to have their input. I pray tonight you'll continue to bless Mrs. Bush-Joes, Chief Myers. I pray, Lord, for Gabriel Polston, Mr. Chyland, Mr. and Mrs. Reclue, and any and all others that are a part of our city family who need your touch. Thank you for your love tonight. Bless this session and all who share in it. In Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Very good. I do have a need this evening to amend the agenda. Under 9, new business, I'd like to add item B, a tax levy discussion.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
What discussion?
Tax levy discussion.
Tax levy?
Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, thank you. We'll now move on. Looks like we comments from visitors. Okay. We have, we set a time aside at each council meeting, a time for folks who have a concern that they'd like to bring to the city and they're not on the agenda. And at this time, I would just welcome you to come to the microphone and just give us your name and your address. And we ask that you please limit your comments to 5 minutes. And I'll warn you, we do time you. So at this point, is there anyone here that would like to present something or a concern to the city council over city business? I do understand that we do have a group here with William Woods University this evening. We want to give you a special welcome. If you'd like to come forward and tell us why you're here and introduce the rest of your group, we definitely appreciate it. Okay. She drew the short straw.
Okay, so we are here just listening in tonight for a public affairs reporting class. So our assignment is to find an angle on something within the city council meeting, and then write an article about it that's due tomorrow morning. So, kind of a crunch.
Let's push it.
But my name's Alyssa, this is Julia, Emily, Isaiah, Anna, and Justin, and we're just gonna listen to what you guys talk about.
Well, if you run out of something, ask Adam over there. He's got to do it. And Mrs. Gray, they got to do it every week, or every other week.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Welcome, and we're glad to have had you. I see no one else in attendance who's not on the agenda, so we'll move on with our agenda. We do have a public hearing this evening, and it has to do with our proposed operating budget for 2017 and the three-year capital program. So at this time, I'd like to call the hearing to order. And Madam Clerk, do you want to do the roll call, please, or note the roll?
So noted.
Thank you. The format for the hearing will be as follows. This hearing is now declared open. There will be 3 calls issued for anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the matter of the budget being considered. And then I'll make 3 calls for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the budget. So at this time, I'd like to issue a first call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of the proposed budget? Seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue a second call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of the proposed budget? Again, seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue our third and final call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of the proposed budget? Very good, thank you. There will now be 3 calls issued for anyone wishing to speak in favor of the proposed budget. First call, is anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this proposed budget? Issue second call, is anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed budget? Again, seeing no one coming forward, I'll issue the third and final call. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed budget? Again, seeing no one coming forward, I'll now declare this public hearing is closed, and we will move back to our agenda. Again, thank you for your presence and your patience. Next item on the agenda is presentation approval council minutes for September 27th. Again, they were included in your packet. Is there any additions or corrections? And if not, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Very good. I have a motion second to approve the minutes of September 27. If there's not any further comment, we'll call for the question. Is anyone, excuse me, all those in favor of approving the minutes of September 27, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay. Likewise, in your packet were the minutes from the October 11th meeting. And likewise, are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Motion to approve? Second.
Very good. Thank you. I have a motion and second to approve the minutes from October the 11th. Any additions or corrections again? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, Rick. Very good, thank you. We now move on to item 7, which is presentation of the financial report for the month of September. Ms. Holzwag is with us this evening, and again, welcome Kathy, and one more time, I'll turn it over to you and let you talk.
I'll start off by telling you we've now recorded 8 months of sales tax, and we are right in line with where we were last year. I mean, I don't think there's $800 difference. So, and I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that September was a 3 payroll month, So the expenses in every fund are proportionally higher. Typically, there's just 2 payrolls. Okay? And I'll just throw this out there. Someone asked me before the meeting when we would start seeing money from the new sales tax, which was effective October 1st, and I expect it will be December. Because if someone's filing monthly, their report's not due till the end of November, so it will be December before the city gets it. And that may be a small amount because there are many business entities that file quarterly. Okay? Just so everybody knows in case you're looking for it. All right. I will tell you that I did not file a reimbursement request on the sewer plant in September. I think the contractor's just behind. One came across my desk today, so it'll get filed in October. And that's about it, unless anybody has any questions.
Kat, notice you said there's a slight loss in the golf course. Is that to date, or is that for that particular period?
There's a 4,200 operations. There's a 42, almost 4,300 loss month to date, 30,000 year to date.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't want to put you on the spot like this, but can you talk like 30 seconds on the health fund and the meeting we had this morning and some of the anticipations for next year?
Well, I think all of us here are aware that this has been a bad year for the health fund.
Yes.
We've had much higher claims than normal. We are showing a year-to-date loss of $112,000 so far. Typically, health claims anticipate or increase the later in the year. It gets towards the end of the year, and people think I've paid my deductible, I'm going to go, etc. So, based on a meeting we had with our broker and with our third-party administrator, I would anticipate next year that our cost will be somewhat higher, based on this year's track record. So,
And again, when you refresh our memory, my memory anyway, what's our deductible before the insurance company checks in? We pay all the claims up to?
our stop loss is $60,000.
Okay.
We have an aggregate of $25,000, which means that the first individual who reaches $85,000, or 3 individuals may have, however much that totals that 25, then they start picking up everything over 60. So if we have a city employee who has claims of $100,000, the city is going to fund $60,000 of it, take the aggregate out of it, and the underwriter will pay the 40.
So we implemented that several years ago, and again, so it, like Kathy just pointed out, it only takes 1 or 2 of those hospital visits, and we're kind of in.
According to someone else's statistics, they say that 1 out of 7 years in a partially self-funded health plan will be a bad year. Well, 2017 is proving to be our bad year.
16.
16. 16 is proving to be our bad year. So we anticipate and hope and are planning on 17 being a better year financially, according to statistics. If 17 is a better year, then our funding levels are going to be adequate. If 17 follows a year similar to 16, we're going to be sitting here in a year talking about what we're going to do with the premiums and our benefits. All right?
And an employee joins this, I mean, they have the option, I want to be in the health insurance plan, or I don't want to, or how does that work?
That is correct. Yeah. And they can carry employee or employee fee. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kat.
Move that we accept the report.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the financial report for September. Any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll move on to unfinished business, and how's our wastewater treatment plant doing here? the construction out there. By the way, those of you, excuse me, Daryl, those of you who are picking a topic, this is really a stinky one. So. But not many of your students will think about how important this particular project is. So, go ahead.
Very important.
Okay, on the wastewater plant update, we got a slideshow tonight. It's one of Mr. Johnson's favorite ones. It's only 6 slides long. If you'll look at the drawing, we'll start at the top left-hand corner. We got the return structure, which we'll talk about, and then straight down below it, we got the headworks, and then off to the right, we got the generator, the disinfection, and a 90-foot clarifier. This is what's happening with the headworks right now. The floor is poured, the concrete footings, they're starting to put up the walls. This area here is where the bar screens will be, and this is the grit chamber. This is the return structure. It is done. If you remember correctly, our stormwater detention basin, we could not use that outfall anymore. That's part of the permit. So this structure was built, and there's actually a pipe out here, and this is a valve where after the storms we can bring the water back in, and the gravity sewer is laid about right in here. So the wastewater is brought back into the plant after the storm event. So it's definitely now a stormwater holding basin. We shouldn't have any discharges from that location anymore.
So it no longer goes to the creek to drain, we drain it back through the plant.
Correct.
And you're gonna clear it up?
Yes, it comes through the plant process and it's cleaned up. This is a 90-foot clarifier. The concrete is done on it. To get kind of a size, there's a dozer sitting there next to it. So it's 90 foot across. You'll notice that it does have water in it. Because there's some pressure reducing valves in the bottom. So if the groundwater becomes high while it's out of use, it actually opens those valves and lets it flood inside the structure instead of trying to lift the structure out of the ground. There'll be more equipment put in here, the arms and stuff that you all have seen when you went out there, the skimming arms and all the mechanicals have not been put in it yet. The generator's in place. There is one generator already out there, but with the new disinfection building and the other improvements, another generator was needed. So that's the generator, this is the transformer that had to be added, and then this is the line the electric department built to this facility. And this is the disinfection building where the UV bulbs will be, and they've got the concrete poured, basically. And
That
this
really
over here-
sits out of the ground, folks. I don't think the picture does it justice, but that floor is probably 3 feet above ground level, maybe more than that.
Right, there's gonna be a door right here to kind of help you get perspective on it.
Now,
That's a
what's that gonna
cutaway
do?
That does a disinfection before it's released to the creek during the warm water season. So that's kind of your update. I believe that's the last slide. It's about 20% complete. I think Bill and I and Kyle feel that they're a little behind schedule, but they told us at the meeting, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but they told us to our face they thought they was okay.
They thought they were going to meet all of the required benchmarks.
So,
I'm sorry.
so out of $8.8 million so far, 1.7 million, 20% has been out. So, any questions, I'll try to answer them. But,
I'll get you later.
okay.
Okay. Thank you, Daryl. Nice report. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Brick District. Madam Clerk, you have something on this?
Yes, so this is a pretty typical request that we get each year from the Brick District for their holiday open house. They are wanting to hold wagon rides in conjunction with the event on November 11th. It's not going to require any street closures or police assistance, so simply just allowing them to have the open wagon rides on the city streets.
Are they gonna be responsible if someone gets hurt, or does it fall back on us?
I believe that their drivers have the insurance, but I can definitely get back to you on that. As far as I have been told, it'll be the same group that typically does it each year, and to my knowledge, they'll do the same route of going down Court Street and around to Nichols and making a loop.
I move we accept the brick district's
Second.
request.
Very good. I have a motion and a second to approve the Brick District's request for wagon rides in conjunction with the holiday open house. Is there any further discussion of that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. Okay, very good. Looks like we'll have hay rides. Okay, we'll now move on to discussion of the tax levy. And who wants to start this? Ms. Kathy, very good, thank you.
I think everyone found at their place a handout that I gave out, and it's just an overview, hopefully kind of high level, that explains what's happened and the situation that we're now in. We received several notices from the county. I think the first two were incorrect. Well, they were all incorrect, basically. But in essence, the county clerk overstated the assessment by $4.3 million, $4.2 million. So the result of that overstatement is that our tax ceiling was certified by the state auditor artificially high. So now that we know that number was incorrect, the question becomes, what do we do about it? Our tax levy, we were allowed to set it at a ceiling of 0.5587, and it should have been 0.5352. So the difference in the additional money that that actually we should not have if it had been done correctly is $27,500. Okay, and so for for someone who has a $100,000 house, that means their tax bill would be, the increment piece would be $4.46 higher than it would be if the ceiling had been correctly calculated.
Total?
Okay?
That's total?
$4 additional,
Additional.
446.
above what it should be if
$4
the
more
levy
than
was
it should.
correct.
So in other words, if your tax bill was $100, based on the certified tax levy, it'd be $104.46.
46, an extra $4.
So,
So
But
did we get anything
that
back?
$4
from this?
citywide adds up to be about $27,500.
between the total of what it should have been and the
What it-
total
the actual.
of what's been certified now. So we basically have two options. We talked to the state auditor's office today, and they said that they certify that number based on the information that is provided to them by the county clerk. Okay. However, they said it was up to basically the city and the county to come to a decision, since the majority of the tax bills have not been mailed yet, but some have. The county has already started receiving tax payments. The file with all the billing information has gone to the mailer. So it would be at considerable expense to the county to have to recertify a new tax rate.
That
And
wouldn't
to
cost
treat-
us more money to try to fix it than leave it like it is?
You're
And
correct.
a tremendous amount of money,
Correct.
okay? The other option
No, keep going.
The other option we have is that we can let it stand as is. State Auditor's Office has been notified. You know, they said that they certified the tax rate levy in good faith and correct it next year.
I recommend that we leave it like it is.
So how do you go
Yeah,
about
I-
correcting
okay.
it next year?
Yeah.
Artificially low levy.
Yeah. Our
So-
levy will be, in other words,
So instead of doing the 5352, we'll do a lower tax levy
depending,
than
that's if
that.
nothing else changes, which there's never a year
Well,
that things don't change. But let's assume that our assessments stayed exactly the same, that our
Right.
levy would be lower next
Yeah, they
year.
would just set the levy to give us $27,500 less
Less.
than we were due next
Less.
year.
Back to the city, is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry?
Are you saying this
Back.
27 would be back to the city or what?
Back to
This year,
the,
the city would collect an additional $27,500.
Oh,
Next
okay.
year,
And
we
if we-
collect less.
Yeah, gotcha.
Next
So
year,
it
they
would
would kind of take
wash.
it back.
It would wash out, right,
Gotcha, okay.
right.
That
Those
would give
we have
each
some
property
county
owner their share back.
Yes.
Sure.
I notice we have some county officials with us.
Yes.
Would you like to speak, Pam, to this issue? I know it definitely affects your office.
Oh, sure.
Pam, A Strike is the county collector.
I appreciate it. Haven't lost sleep over this yet, but it may come tonight. Excuse me for my hoarse voice and my cough through all of this. Basically, Kathy kind of give a little overview where we're at. I was giving the certified tax levies from the county clerk about a month ago, 3 weeks, something like that. We entered those into our tax collection system on or about the 10th of October. We immediately then started entering in our tax assessments, like for instance, the city has some individuals that don't mow their yards, and so then they go mow it, a special assessment is sent to them. We have those type of things for every city that we collect for. We have NIDs, the drainage and levee districts down in the bottom, south bottom. We have to enter in those assessments. One of the big things we do is our escrows. If you have your home mortgaged through a bank or an escrow service, we send either our whole file, depending on, we have about 10 escrow companies that request our whole real estate file. And then we have some smaller banks that just want the tax bills for their mortgage holders. Those have been sent out. We have, the county has an installment plan where if you are able to, or if you would like to pay your real estate taxes in quarterly payments, like 2017, we'll start collecting those in March. We've already paid those bills, the ones that haven't gone, the ones that still don't owe. We've already paid those bills. County employees have the same option of setting back tax money. We've already paid those bills also. We have, our tax book is set. We did that just as soon as we proofed everything, made sure that it was correct. In 2016, I show the city of Fulton with 8,306 records. 3,942 are personal property and 4,364 are real estate. Probably of that, 2,000 plus are escrow payments. And so those escrow companies have already got those bills. I can't even imagine, I don't want to imagine what it would take to fix this. And so therefore I plead that you do the rollback for next year. I don't know if rollback is the correct answer or not. Unfortunately, it's not my mistake. I make plenty on my own. I'm not slamming anyone, but all of the burden of fixing it falls in our office. It takes us about a month, 3 weeks to a month to get all of this information entered in. If we went in and fixed that levy right now, it would be another 3 weeks before we would be able to get the tax bills out. They're sitting at the printers right now. We've proofed them, approved them, but I've said, hold on until we decide what was going to happen after tonight. So if there's anything you need answered or that I can answer for you, I don't have all the answers. I just found out about this yesterday by hap chance. So it's not an easy fix for my office, but if that's what you all want to do, know that I'll step up and do whatever I can to make it right.
So all in all, what you're saying is it's just as beneficial for one as the other is just to wait until 17 and correct the problem.
Yes.
Would be much, yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to second Wayne's motion.
I definitely agree.
Isn't,
He made a motion.
What was the motion?
To leave it like it is and let it correct itself next year.
Yeah.
Let the levy be corrected next year, or, okay. Very good. Is there, I have a motion and a second.
Doesn't,
Any further discussion?
doesn't the banks that are the loan institutions that that hold the escrow accounts, don't they base their raising their limits for tax people on the information that you give them?
Yes, sir.
So it will affect people that, I mean, are the banks aware that this is an overage, or?
No, they are not. But again, we're only talking $4
Yeah.
on a $100,000 assessed value. So it's not a significant amount that the banks would be excited about. I can't imagine that they would get excited
Yeah.
about it.
Good question.
I can't see that they would adjust the escrow payment.
Right.
There's probably that kind of float balance within the escrow balance. Anyway,
Good question.
so-
Good
I want
question.
to ask two questions.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to speak for Kathy, but I believe I'm in agreement with the motion. I think that's where we are in this stage of the game. That's pretty much, as I see, the only realistic option. I guess the question I have for you, Pam, and you, Doc, is it's pretty late in the game. What can we do to ensure or to
Prevent it.
make this doesn't happen again?
And I would say, because I've been questioning the numbers of correcting myself.
Yeah.
Where did the ball get dropped?
As I told you, I just found out yesterday, so.
We'll let Doc talk on that one.
Well, we don't need names.
Unfortunately, the county government structure is totally different than a municipality. And you've got 13 elected officials, and there isn't one boss overall. The assessor has a major role in coming up with the assessed valuations and submitting that information to the county clerk. As Kathy said on it, she began questioning it back in, I think the first letter we got was July 25th, and we questioned because we thought the number looked too low, because we knew that 2 NADs had been paid off. A week later, so we went back to the county clerk and challenged the letter, and it was the new construction on the letter. She corrected that amount a week later. It still didn't look right. We got a third correction on the 25th or 27th of August. We got phone calls from the city. We got phone calls from Fulton Public Schools. We got a phone call from the Callaway Ambulance Department. County Commission doesn't have anything to do with this. We're on the receiving end just like you all are. We're not involved in the process. But most of those questions were being sent to the county clerk, and she couldn't answer them and wouldn't take the time to answer them and refused to come to some of our meetings. So I'm just going to let it on the line. I'm not trying to be politically correct with anybody because I really don't care. But it's important that everybody understands the significance and what the problem that this one office and this one office holder has created. She's not here tonight. Her office can correct the problem in about 5 minutes by going back out online and correcting the pro forma with the state auditor. And the conversation that I had numerous times today and that Pam was involved with was, we're not just trying to make this fix real simple for one office. Pam's going to bear the brunt of this. And when we talk county, you really need to talk county which office. Because, like I said, we're not involved other than we're trying to help solve the problem and find a solution. We're way, way late in the game. That's, to Pam's credit. Like she said, if you decided to go and fix it this year, but the auditor did say that they would approve a rollback next year of this virtually 2.5 cents. We thought we had a $9 million error on the county side, and we've tried for months to get an answer, and we finally got that answer today. from the county clerk. But it's been a struggle trying to get this resolved. We're satisfied the school district has an error. Theirs is only about $300,000, a little bit different. It doesn't affect them very much. But I would agree with, because we're so late in the game and all the bills are already in the system, people are already paying. There's been over 7,000 mailed out already for escrows and things to come back in. We don't any of us want to overcharge anybody, but we can honestly correct this problem next year with a rollback. If we were talking $100,000, $200,000, it'd be different. But if we're talking $27,000, it's unfortunate that anybody's got to pay more than what they should, but it is $4. There's going to be some people complain. They don't want to pay 10 cents more. We just have to suck up with that and deal with it. But I would encourage you to, let's make the correction next year and get on with it. Otherwise, we don't get tax bills out. Her office doesn't get tax bills out until around the 1st of December, and that starts really causing a problem. So that's kind of where we're at.
So the problem originated in the assessor's office?
No,
Is that what you-
actually, one problem originated there, and they failed to recognize the 2 TIFs that were paid off in the past year. So we, in the commissioner's office, were looking for at least a $14 million change in new construction. The original letters that came out from the clerk's office, as provided by the county assessor to her, only had about 13 million, so we knew it was wrong. The correction, as it came back out of the assessor office to the clerk's office, the second round, we felt was still in there because we saw a $9 million discrepancy between the letter that was given to us, to the county commission, just like the letter that comes to you all, that indicates what your tax levy can be set on. We saw a $9 million discrepancy. Kathy recognized a $4 million discrepancy, and we couldn't get answers. Why? We got those answers today earlier. The main problem was, as identified by the county clerk, was that she just picked up the wrong number off of the assessor's report and incorrectly put that information on the letter that came to the city of Fulton. And then she made another error on the letter that she sent to Public Schools 58. And then there's another error on something else. Now, before we closed our meeting this morning, I asked, okay, the whole problem is mistakes. What do you do to correct them? We don't control that office. We don't control any of the other offices in the courthouse. That's what we want to see, is the same thing you all do. What are you going to do to fix the problem so this doesn't happen again? Guys, how many mistakes are you allowed in an election? This person is also in charge of elections, certifying election results. That concerns me. That these are the kinds of errors we have seen for years in multiple areas.
Thank you.
My question is, Doc, does
Yes.
this individual need more help, or how did this slide by for so long?
That'd be a good question for you to ask her.
And who determines, I live in an old house, and it's paid for, but I'm assessed so many dollars. Who determines that?
Assessor.
The assessment is actually done for the city and every other entity in the county, every other property, because and that's the county assessor, puts a dollar value on that property.
Yeah.
He has nothing to do with the tax levies. So the assessments are put on a property. He in turn submits that information to the state tax commission for certification and verification, and submits that information to the county clerk. They have 2 different roles. The county clerk is responsible for submitting that information to the state auditor for certification after each public entity has established what their tax levy is.
So does he say your house is worth this many dollars, therefore this percentage is what we're going to charge you in tax funding?
No, you're getting 2 things too much involved.
Okay.
The assessor is only, he has nothing to do with the establishment of tax levies. Okay? He's void of the tax levies. The responsibility of the assessor is to put a fair market value on that property, and then there's 3 criteria for commercial, agricultural, and residential that puts an assessed valuation on that property. So you have a market value, and then you have an assessed valuation. It's the assessed valuation numbers that are provided back to each public entity for them to establish the tax levy. Then the tax levy gets passed on from the county clerk to the collector so that the tax bill is prepared and gets sent out to each of us individually. The assessor has nothing to do with tax levies.
Okay, so if my house is worth $100, then he says 3% of it, or you don't have a percentage
No.
that you would put on that?
No,
Okay.
the issue that you would have with the assessor would be, has he put a fair market value on your property?
Right.
That's
Okay.
the only issue it had.
Okay.
People come in to talk with them about the amount of taxes they pay, or when they come before the county commission during Board of Equalization, which is in the month of July, is to strictly contest fair market values on properties.
I just thought there was a set percentage that they would charge.
No.
Nothing, okay.
For the benefit of the newspaper, so as the commissioners and other office holders in the courthouse's phones don't ring a lot tomorrow,
Yeah.
would you please make it clear that this problem only affects real and personal property within the city of Fulton?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect Millersburg and Hatton and Mocaine. It's only property within the city limits of Fulton. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Anything else? Okay.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Kathy?
I have one. I just want to reiterate. Okay. So you spot, other eyes spot there's a problem. They go to the county collector or clerk. This just keeps going on. In other words, someone didn't catch on a little sooner that possibly we were making mistakes, or are we not just ignoring these other eyes that are seeing things, or is that kind of what happened? Am I kind of putting it together in a
I think
layman
when
way?
the,
I'm sorry.
when the first, if memory serves me correctly, when the first assessment notices came out,
Okay.
I called after each one. At that time, the county clerk was out
Okay.
on leave.
Okay.
And I don't know if that was all part of not getting a response or whatever.
And then,
But,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understand right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Very good. I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion to defer the correction of the tax levy to 2017, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Pam's going to have a bottle of wine.
Thanks for explaining.
And
Thanks for
you can
explaining.
sleep well
Yeah.
tonight.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay. It's now that time to where we set aside the time for council to bring concerns that they have or have heard from the citizens that they'd like to bring to the council meeting tonight. I guess this evening, I started down there last time, and I'll start down here with Wayne this time.
I'll pass.
Myself, I have nothing either.
Very good. That side was easy. Go ahead, Ms. Grant.
Is this what I asked this?
No. Later on. Later on. Do you have anything else?
Now, how are we progressing on this, what is it, West 6th Street and the speed limit in that little short block?
I have a report on my traffic commission about that.
Okay.
Sure do.
Are we fixing it, or what are we doing?
I'll give it to you in the report.
All right. Well, then I guess I'm done, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gray. We'll cover it here in a short time. Richard?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. A while back, I brought in some pictures of a property owner's fence, and we discussed it a little bit, and I believe it was going to go back and look into it, and I just wondered if we'd made any headway into that, or has anybody looked at that?
Les, you want to address that? I guess that was yours.
Or discussed it in our meetings.
Well, we did talk about it. If the council wishes, we can try to write something. I don't know for sure what we can write, but we can certainly try.
I just asking a question.
No, but I'm wondering, if this is an eyesore, the city can't do anything about this?
No, ma'am, we can't make them dig it down.
No, we cannot.
You can't make them covered over or anything?
No, ma'am.
No.
There's nothing obscene there. It depends on what you want, however you look at it. But there's no nudity, there's no foul language, there's nothing. There's just some paintings on a board fence.
And it's decreasing my property value.
Possible.
Well, that's not for me to say. I don't know.
You're a good politician.
Well, no, just being truthful. That's not for me to say.
Me and Les both looked into it, and there's nothing that the city could do to make that, but my concern is that if we could come up with a way to ever keep it from happening again, that particular fence would have to be grandfathered in, but if we made some type of a rule, then something like that would never happen again.
Yeah.
So you want us to investigate an
Well,
ordinance?
they can
Yeah.
just discuss it some more. You might see what you and your committee could come up with, something, just a draft of something to let us look at and discuss.
We'll charge Les to continue to monitor for some kind of proposed ordinance on that. And then if he can find something, we'll bring it to you. Okay?
Also, one other thing that I had, during some discussions with Jeremy, we were just discussing the ball fields and future projects for Fulton. And Jeremy had some very good ideas about some ball fields, and I didn't know if that had been discussed with Clay or not, but I think it'd be worth checking into with Jeremy if you would. I'd appreciate it. And I also have a problem with some drainage. I believe it's on Washington Street that I'd like to discuss with Kyle one day next week.
Okay,
That's all I have.
super. And Clay, we're going to charge you to talk with Jeremy. See if you can get him to buy the coffee, will you? Out of the city pot. Okay. Mr. Moore.
Well, I have one that I'm going to bring up in traffic vision, but I'm going to bring it up now because they'll probably go to bed before we get there. Mike West had brought it up at the last council meeting, but people live on Wood Street and Cedar Ridge complaining, and I have not had time to drive and look, complaining about the cedar trees that grown too big. You got to pull out on Route Z to see if anything's coming from the Cowwood direction. And Mike's brought it up, and this was 3 people who lived together. Well, they don't live together, but in that same area, complaining about the same subject.
Mr. Moore, I can't remember how long ago it was, but the mayor, myself, Bill, it seemed like there was somebody else went by and talked to that person about that very same issue. We got nowhere with it. The only thing that's going to have to happen is, because it's on county road, I believe. State road, yeah, state road. That the state is going to have to be the one coming there with a chainsaw and cut those down.
And we also wrote those folks a letter telling them that their trees were in violation and you couldn't see. And we've had the same results the rest of the people have had. So if the council's pleasure, I guess we can take a chainsaw through and cut them down.
I figured somebody would get around midnight.
Well, that might work. I don't believe I want any part of it, but that's okay.
I personally, like I said, I haven't personally, but apparently I need to go try it because Mike's had some complaints, and I got cornered I was in Mosers when I got attacked about it.
Oh, yeah. Kathy, if you have something, Jermaine?
I get that way quite often, like I was saying, and I think that it's not so much
Yeah.
I think the problem is on the trees that are right there along Wood Street.
Ah.
And they're so thick and they go right up to the intersection. So if anyone need to pull out and turn there, they're going into these issues.
I also had a call from a constituent too about the same intersection, and I personally went out there to look at it, and I think they're right, it is. But I was wondering, is there any way that you could get the state involved or to look at that intersection and maybe make a stronger recommendation since they won't, since they don't want to participate with the city?
Jason with our traffic division and I went out and took a look at it too, because we were considering exploring that possibility with the state. At the time, we were focused on the cedar trees, whatever they are, that's along Route Z, and it looked like to us that it's probably not on the state right of way. You know, we can go out there and try to find the right of way markers and get a little bit more in depth, but it doesn't look like it's the issue is on the state right of way. But we'll take another look at it and see if we can engage the state.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up.
Kyle, even if the base of the tree is not on state property, but the hangover is, you still got a case, if I'm not mistaken. The overgrowth of the limbs.
Yeah, I think we can take care of the overgrowth.
Okay.
I think the
That would
overgrowth
help.
can be taken care
If we can't take the tree down, at least.
And that's what we were looking at is,
Clean it up.
but without finding right of way markers and doing a little surveying, it's hard to tell for sure.
That would help.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rick?
Move on.
Very good, thank you. We'll now move on to resolutions. Resolution 3260.
Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
Could I have 5 minutes before we start resolution?
A break? Sure. We'll declare a 5-minute break.
Well, yeah.
Call us back to order. We'll move back to our agenda. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution 3264 has asked the council to support the application for West 4th Street sidewalks and bike lanes improvements. This is for a funding from the Missouri Department of Transportation. Councilman Moore, would you please present 3264 for consideration tonight?
Resolution 3264, a resolution supported by the City Council of the City of Fulton, Missouri to apply for the West 4th Street Sidewalk and Bike Lanes Improvement Project under the Transportation Alternative Funding Program from the Missouri Department of Transportation. I move this to be passed by title only at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Have a motion and second to advance 3264. Mr. Brimmer, would you come up and fill us in on what we're doing here? Is this competitive? I guess is the big thing.
Well, about a week and a half ago, thereabouts, an engineering firm named Cochran came to the city and said, hey, there's some federal funds administered by MoDOT that are potentially available for us to compete for. Those funds are transportation alternative funds, so alternative transportations, meaning walkers, bikers, that kind of thing. There's about the maximum that we could obtain from this grant is $400,000. I believe we would have to at least put a 20% match to that, and so some of the scoring criteria, or it scores better if it's on a on-system road, on-system meaning MoDOT right away. type thing. So we started looking at, okay, which roadways, needs to be a short section because $400,000 isn't a lot, and what's MoDOT right away. We automatically started looking at 4th Street because we've been looking at Pioneer Cemetery Wall and wanting to make that a nice entryway into the community, much nicer than it is now. So we're thinking that applying for this grant could help us propel not just doing the Pioneer Cemetery Wall, but potentially widen the road, adding nice sidewalks.
Underground utilities?
Underground utilities, making it look much nicer.
So you're going from point A to point B, what? Just
From
right there where the cemetery is, or what?
Westminster to Jefferson. So from the traffic light to about Jefferson.
On Fulton.
The underground utilities might come all the way up to a half a block west of Court. That looks like that'd be a good
and
down pole to go.
That can't be understated. The look appeal that would be to put that underground. So
just new sidewalks, curb and gutter and street. It would be this 3-block section of the community could rival the appearance of any city that you've been in.
You talking about both sides, the
Yes.
sidewalks?
Yes.
Wide sidewalks.
That one needs it more.
See, I'm concerned about
Percentage?
bicycle
What's
traffic
the
in
percentage
there.
for
Are you going to
20?
be able to
We gotta
accommodate
do at least
bicycle
20%.
traffic?
20.
You're not supposed to hit them when you drive.
The road, we're proposing that the road be widened
so
to
you're
help
gonna-
support that. Realistically, we're not sure how much bike traffic we'll get in that area, especially with a not real nice wide sidewalk that could, I think we'll get more walkers.
Yeah.
There's already been a couple questions on the local match,
You're going-
so we're probably not gonna go for the full 400,000 because that'll decrease our chances of funding a little bit. And probably put a little more local match in it. I think Daryl gave me a price of 125, 150 to do the underground utilities with street lights that would resemble the ones down at the south end. So it'd be decorative, but doing that 125 right there we have the local match, but then we would have money for the purchase of the block wall at Pioneer as well as the labor, and we're not going to have a problem coming up with local match, and I don't think it's going to affect the budget hardly at all.
Is this going to affect?
Next year's budget.
Is this going to affect the brick on the road there, or?
No.
It stops before it gets to the brick,
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
both sides?
Correct.
I mean, the really need to go to Nichols,
Yeah.
but State Highway stops at Jefferson. So
And we're just-
depending on how the,
I was just gonna say, realistically, looking how much dollars we have.
But the highway department stops at Jefferson, so that we're gonna make that the project area. But depending on how the bids come in, maybe we'll be back to come and see you guys and say, hey, we wanna move some asphalt money or something next year over to take it from Jefferson to Nichols.
I'd like for the bike traffic to go in front of City Hall, because it's a good-looking City Hall. Just bring them right on down.
You betcha.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Very competitive. The applications are due the 1st of November.
Yes.
Kyle has worked very hard to get letters of support. I think he's already got them from
From
Westminster.
MoDOT and Westminster currently.
I saw one this evening that the Housing Authority's put together. I was on the phone today with Lutkemeier's office. Their office plans on providing me one. I'll be kind of surprised I don't have it. And I also asked Senator Blunt office for a letter of support, seeing as how it is federal money being administered by MoDOT.
I know dear old Roy personally. Maybe I should send him.
Thank you, Kyle.
If there's not any further questions or discussion, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good, thank you. We'll continue to proceed with that one. We'll now move on to first reading ordinances, of which we have one. Bill number 1463 is an ordinance that will adopt the official budget that you had a hearing on earlier this evening for next year, January 1, 2017 through December 31, 2017. Councilman Vaughn, would you please present Bill number 1463 by title only?
Bill number 1463, an ordinance adopting an official budget and capital improvements program and appropriating the funds of the city for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2017 and ending December 31st of 2017. I make a motion to place Bill 1463 for second reading at the next scheduled meeting.
Second.
We're going to have a motion and a second to advance Bill number 1463 for second reading. Any discussion of that motion?
I have one.
Sure.
I missed it, because I've been here so long, I'm blind. But I couldn't find my electronic sign that was in the 2017 budget under the electric department.
I didn't see it.
It is not in there.
Not
That's
there.
what I thought.
Didn't see it.
I was just letting you know I hadn't forgot. You told me to wait a couple of years, and you put it in 2017, and now it's gone. I still remind you, I still like to have one out there. I think it'd be beneficial to the city and every department.
Mr. Moore, are you talking about it checks my speed limit going through a certain street?
Oh, no, where it says happy birthday, Bev on it.
Okay, that's what I like.
Yeah.